38 years. Just think about that number for a second. 38 years locked away for a crime a man swears he didn't commit.
It's an almost unimaginable length of time, isn't it?
It really is. And that's the deeply unsettling reality we're diving into today. The case of Peter Sullivan and the murder of Diane Sindel back in 1986.
And this isn't about, just the crime itself. It's a stark look at how the justice system can fail so profoundly. Peter Sullivan's story. It's a chilling example of that cost.
Diane Sindel was only 21. Her life just cut short in her flat in Bevington. It seemed random, and you know what happens then? The pressure builds incredibly fast to find someone.
Absolutely. That pressure can be immense. And
Right.
Peter Sullivan, who was 30 at the time, living locally, he became that someone.
And his connection to Diane. He'd apparently helped her carry her groceries once. That was it.
Just that. No history between them, no obvious motive, no violence in his past.
It just seems, almost unbelievable that such a flimsy link could spiral into what happened next.
You're right. Those initial facts or lack of facts are so important. The absence of any real link should have been a huge red flag, shouldn't it?
You'd think so.
Right.
But him becoming a suspect so quickly, it really speaks to maybe the urgency, maybe looking for that quick answer under pressure, like you said.
Exactly. So just days after Diane's murder, Peter's arrested.
And then comes the interrogation. Over 20 hours. Just relentless.
20 hours, that's a significant amount of time under intense questioning.
He claimed they told him he must have blacked out, committed the crime without remembering, that the evidence was solid against him.
And he was exhausted, scared.
Yeah, and he signed a statement. But then later, he retracted it. Said he didn't grasp what it really meant, that he honestly thought if he just cooperated, signed it, they'd let him go.
That scenario, it's disturbingly common in wrongful conviction cases, especially with long interrogations. Sleep deprivation, fear, confusion. People can reach a breaking point.
They might just say anything to make it stop.
Precisely. His claim about not understanding and thinking cooperation meant freedom. That rings true for many similar situations. It shows how vulnerable someone can be in that environment.
Okay, so we have this retracted confession at the core, but what about, actual hard evidence? Forensics.
Witnesses. Well, that's the thing. There wasn't any traditional forensic evidence tying Peter to the scene. No fibers, no fingerprints linking him. No eyewitnesses saw him there.
So what did they have, apart from the confession he took back?
The prosecution's case really hinged on that disputed confession and something presented as solid science back then. Bite mark analysis.
Bite mark analysis,
Okay.
right. An expert claimed a mark on Diane's arm matched Peter's teeth.
Yeah, and to a jury in 1987, that probably sounded pretty definitive, like irrefutable scientific proof.
A slam dunk, basically.
At the time, perhaps.
Okay.
But our understanding has moved on so much since then. Bite mark analysis is now widely recognized as highly subjective, really prone to error.
So it's not the unique identifier people once thought, like a fingerprint.
Not at all. How teeth marks transfer to skin, the distortions. It's far less reliable than presented. So what was seen as scientific fact then has been, largely debunked now.
It's a really stark example of relying on shaky science in court, isn't it?
It absolutely is. A huge danger.
And based on that disputed confession and this, let's call it what it is, junk science, Peter Sullivan was convicted in 1987. Life sentence.
Life, based on that foundation, it's staggering.
And then decades pass. He becomes eligible for parole after 20 years, but he refuses to apply.
Because applying usually means accepting guilt, admitting responsibility for the crime.
Which he has always denied. That refusal, staying inside when he could have potentially gotten out,
Yeah.
that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
It's a powerful statement of innocence, really. Choosing continued imprisonment over compromising his claim of innocence. It tells you a lot about his conviction.
So what was his life like inside for
Yeah.
all those years?
From the reports, it seemed like a very solitary existence. Reading, writing letters, and something quite poignant. He kept a newspaper photo of Diane Sindel in his journal.
Kept her photo. Why?
He said, and reports emphasize this, it wasn't out of guilt, it was to remember her, to keep her memory alive.
Wow. Even after everything, his focus was still on the victim.
It seems so. Meanwhile, he filed appeals repeatedly. All were rejected.
Just to mention the hopelessness. Appeal after appeal denied. Trapped.
Yeah, the psychological toll must have been immense, fighting against despair year after year.
But then, decades later, something finally shifts. Science catches up again, but this time in his favor.
DNA. By 2021, DNA testing technology had advanced significantly.
and his legal team saw a chance.
Exactly. They pushed for retesting of biological samples that had been preserved from the original crime scene. A long shot, perhaps, after so long.
And the result?
Definitive. The DNA found at the scene did not match Peter Sullivan.
Didn't match him.
Nope. It belonged to an unknown male, someone whose DNA isn't in any police database, someone who was never questioned back in 1986.
So one piece of solid, modern science just completely unravels the case built back in the 80s.
It completely undermines the conviction. It highlights the limits of those older methods, like the bite mark analysis, and raises serious questions about that initial investigation. What else was missed? Who was this other man?
That led to the Criminal Cases Review Commission getting involved in early 2025. They're the independent body that looks into potential miscarriages of justice, for listeners who aren't familiar.
Right. They reviewed the new evidence and referred the case back to the Court of Appeal.
And then, May 13th, 2025, after 38 years, the conviction was overturned. Peter Sullivan walked out of prison.
A free man after almost 4 decades.
Quietly. No big fanfare, no apologies shouted from the rooftops. Just the stark reality of freedom. Can you even get your head around that moment?
It must be incredibly disorienting. The world moved on. Technology, society, everything's changed. He's been, in a way, frozen in time while inside.
He's 68 now, living in a small, state-provided flat. Doesn't have a smartphone, doesn't use the internet.
Simple things we take for granted.
Apparently, he goes to the same local shop he used back in 1986. But everything else, it's like stepping onto a different planet.
It highlights the sheer disruption, doesn't it? It's not just lost time, it's lost connection, lost understanding of the modern world. Reintegrating is a massive, often overlooked challenge.
In his first public statement, quite remarkable, he said, "I'm not angry, I'm not bitter. I just want people to remember Diane and to know I didn't do that to her."
After nearly 40 years wrongly imprisoned, to say you're not angry or bitter, that's extraordinary. His focus is still on clearing his name and on Diane.
It really speaks to his character.
It does, and it underlines the tragedy for everyone involved, his lost decades, and Diane's murder remaining unsolved.
Because the police have reopened the investigation, but it's a cold case now, 40 years cold.
Very difficult. That unknown DNA is a crucial lead, but without a match in the database, where do you start? Witnesses' memories fade, people move, evidence degrades.
So the chances of finding the real killer now, they must be pretty slim.
Realistically, yes, it's a huge uphill battle.
So Peter's case ends up being one of the longest wrongful imprisonments in UK history, a terrible landmark.
And it lays bare the potential pitfalls. Flawed interrogations, unreliable science, maybe tunnel vision focusing too early on one suspect.
The consequences are just devastating. For Peter, obviously, but also for Diane. Her killer got away with it. 2 lives shattered.
And if you, the listener, take one thing away from this deep dive, it's perhaps that reminder of how fallible our systems can be. The need for constant scrutiny, for questioning evidence, especially forensic evidence.
And safeguarding against that pressure in the interrogation room.
Absolutely. The pursuit of truth has to come before the rush for a conviction. Always.
And even now, Peter keeps Diane's picture, still hoping for justice for her.
Yeah.
It's quite something, his quiet dignity through it all.
It really is a sobering story. It forces you to think about the fragility of justice and the deep, lasting wounds these errors inflict.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many other Peters might be out there?
And what does true justice even look like at this point, for him and for Diane?
A question that definitely stays with you.